All right, so we had a lot of success with that podcast that we put out, introducing myself to the students at Baruch College. It was pretty awesome. It was a different dynamic and it was a totally different type of podcast. So we decided to test it again. The content team thought it would be a good idea to put out another one of these. And I spoke in front of a networking group this time. It was a couple weeks ago. I was invited from a good friend of mine, Nick Sizamansky, over at Dime Bank. There was about 20 people, give or take, over there. And I presented how technology can be implemented to your business, including social media, and how it can maximize things that people are doing. I strongly believe that social media is the best networking tool in the world, and a lot of older generation people haven't tapped into that market yet, and they don't know how. So this podcast was about that. An update business-wise, we closed on those 23 units total, the 13 condos in Houston 2 weeks ago now, and the 10 houses in St. Louis. We're just wrapping up the asset management side, bookkeeping, getting the management agreements on board, and getting sorted all the value add. And while all of that's going on, we've got a shopping center coming to a close this week. It's a 3-unit building in Wantagh, Long Island on Merrick Road. Fantastic asset. It's like a Class A building, so that's going to be a great addition to the portfolio as well. That's $1.275 million. Excited to add that value add property as well. It's going to be a trophy piece, which I haven't bought many of yet. It's exciting. Well, with all of that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Until next time. We're in Houston right now, walking our new 56-unit crazy property here. It starts down there.
We got Allon, Avgi, billion-dollar man.
It's nice to meet all of you. I'm Allon. I'm 26 years old. I'm a real estate entrepreneur. A little bit different from most real estate investors. Everyone thinks I'm an agent because I'm young, and they get that misconception. You know, I'm also a social media wizard. I don't sell any social media products or any of that stuff. I just get followed around by 2 camera guys. We make awesome content. I post it all over social media, naturally growing. Over the last couple months, I think we hit like 400,000 new page hits and viewers and subscribers and all that good stuff, which is crazy outreach, like genuinely in the real estate field. So what I do is I buy real estate in 6 different markets, renovate, rent, refinance. I build. I'm in multiple different asset classes, from single-family communities, multifamily, new developments, mixed-use, retail, and industrial now. Actually, you work for PPD&G. They're some of my strongest partners, Jonathan and Taylor, my best friends and my partners. They also met me 5 years ago, and they asked me, what's your competitive advantage? I said, show me somebody else in real estate that's all over social media the way I am, and it's utilizing technology to leverage their company. So Nick told me we only have like 10-15 minutes together for me to speak, so with that short amount of time, I hope I could just help you guys find a competitive advantage and in social media and technology, and all of you sign up and use Janine for what she offers. So when I got started in the business, everyone was asking me, what's your competitive advantage? Everybody's older than me, it seems like, in the real estate industry. I'm a young guy. I come from no money at all. I grew up out east, Oakdale, Ronkonkoma area, if you guys are familiar. My parents had a furniture store on Sunrise Highway. It was called Furniture. There used to be a princess bed in a truck, if any of you know. Yeah, that's what they did for 20 years, and they begged me every day, Allon, get me out of the furniture business. Please get me out of the furniture business. Brick and mortar retail sucks. We want to live a better life. Like, I swear I'll get you guys out of it. It took me about 3 years to get my dad out and 5 years to get my mom out. And then I got them an awesome house in Merrick, and they're living a great life now. So when I started going out to the markets to raise money, I had no idea what to do. So every time I presented to people, they said, what makes you different, right? So I showed them how I built out these softwares. I use 6 different softwares in my company to streamline single and small multifamily properties. It's really hard to manage properties. Everyone knows that. Unless you got a triple net 7-Eleven, it's really difficult to manage a single family property in Long Island, New York with problematic tenants. Now think about St. Louis, Missouri, Memphis, Tennessee, Houston, Texas. I'm closing on 23 houses this week between Houston, Texas, and St. Louis, Missouri, all of them from our office. I've never seen any of them, and we manage them all in-house. We use third-party management companies out there, and then we streamline everything into certain data reports and all that good stuff in my office in Plainview, New York. Because of that, I have a really good competitive advantage. But now the next step is finding good deals, right? How can you buy good stuff and raise money if you don't have good deals? And that's where social media comes in. Some things can't be measured. So I can't really measure, all the amount of money I spend in social media and what it brings me. What it does is it crafts new relationships. Like you said, you love building new relationships and building new networks. What's beautiful about that is social media gets you farther than anybody else. I make a post, and I bet all of you guys have kids, or some of you have kids, and they're all day on TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff, right? Yeah. So I'm a TikTok and Instagram whore. Like, people make fun of me all the time for being obsessed with that stuff. I make a post on TikTok, not too funny, a little bit serious, teaching people about the BRRRR method: buy, renovate, rent, refinance. And this little girl goes to her dad and shows her, and she says, "Why don't you do this?" And her dad picks up his phone, sees a picture of me and video of me doing this, sees that I'm in Long Island, New York, sends an email, says, "Hey, I got a 10 family in Bayshore. I don't want it. I live in Tampa." And the next thing you know, my acquisition team is shooting out to Bayshore, picking up the phone with this guy, figuring things out, and we close on a 10 family in Bayshore. So we source a lot of deal flow from social media. That's a huge advantage that most people don't think of. Windsor's not going to get a listing of a guy in Tampa that nobody knows, that his daughter just happened to pick up TikTok and, make that happen. But Windsor can be posting about the BRRRR method, can be utilizing Janine's skills and strategies to get in front of a 12-year-old girl in Tampa, Florida, and leveraging that connection to get a listing. And then I would have never bought that property because he would have sold it for 3 times more. So, long story short, I would have loved to go in detail and depth and talk to you guys about a million things. I have nothing to sell right now. I've been working on a fund forever. Eventually, I'm going to raise money in small increments and utilize that to buy a lot of properties. But right now, I've got a handful of partners that just fund everything I do. They're really happy with the results. So I'm not looking to raise money. I'm just looking to meet new people. If anybody's got great deals in any of my markets or whatever, I'll connect you with my acquisition team. In the meantime, it's nice to just meet good people in Long Island, and I hope that inspires you guys to get more into social media, content creation, and work with Janine. I'll take whatever referral fees you got.
You still got plenty of time, I guess, just from our conversations, if you want to talk about some of the projects that you also have conquered within the past year.
Yeah, for sure. So you actually just did a project for me too. Most brokers couldn't figure out what I needed in the mortgage world, so Mike came through for the win. Awesome guy. I highly suggest working with him.
By the way, who made that connection? Shout out.
So 5 years ago, I started in the business with a single-family home in Westbury, in Newcastle. I took hard money, 12 and 2 at the time, so I was borrowing at 14%. I didn't know much about the business, but I lost all my money in a beverage startup when I was a kid. I went to Hofstra. I launched this beverage brand. I lost all my money. I'm like, shit, man, I do not want to get a job. So I was like, what can I do and not have to get a job? And I figured, you know what, I'll get into real estate. My parents got like 3 homes. My dad knows how to fix things here and there. What's the worst that could happen? I'll lose all my money again, big deal. So I bought this house. It worked out. I utilized the BRRRR method. Back then I borrowed at 9% to refi because nobody wanted to lend me money. An attorney lent me the money at 14%. At the time I thought he was doing me a favor. Today I'm like, fuck man, he got me good. So that went into the next deal. I bought a house in Central Islip. That went into the next deal, a house in Lindenhurst. I learned how seller financing works. Some guys held mortgages for me on properties they didn't want to manage anymore. That was really nice of them. And then I learned how raising money works. I started buying houses all cash, refinancing out. And then I learned the power of leveraging the banking world. I met Nick, and we became great friends. And he's an awesome guy. I host some huge parties sometimes and networking events, and I'd love for you guys to be there next time as well. Nick always comes. And next thing you know, I'm getting into development deals. So right now, I'm building 17 luxury homes in West Hampton Beach on Old Riverhead Road over there. That's a $20 million development. Who's painting? When I signed that project up, I got really creative. I found a piece of land. It was 3 acres. There's no sewers on Old Riverhead Road in West Hampton Beach. I'm not a Hamptons guy, so the second I went out there, everyone was like, get the fuck out of here, kid. You know, like, you're not part of this community. It was really rough. So I had to hire all their local attorneys and do all that stuff, and they got me good too. But well deserved. So I bought the neighbor's sewage treatment plant, and I bought this piece of property with a single-family house on it. And the zoning allowed for condos, but because there was no sewers, you can't build that density. Since I bought the sewage treatment plant, I'm building the newest development in West Hampton Beach, 17 luxury homes. Right behind me, Michael Dubb just bought 7 acres, and he's building there 26 homes at around $3.5 million each.
He owns Beechwood organization.
Beechwood, yeah. Great guy. He called me, go figure, because I got featured in an article about real estate in The Real Deal and in the Hamptons. So at the time, I was 23 when I signed that project up. This guy calls me. He's like, where'd you come from? You know?
Who are you?
Yeah, he's like, who are you? Who's your dad? And nobody knows my parents, you know? So everyone was shocked. And then when I got featured, the power of media, I got featured in The Real Deal. I started getting calls from all these families in Manhattan, the Gansevoort, the builders of the Gansevoort, the Kissling family, all these big dogs. And they're like, look, kid, I think you got a bright future. Let us help you get there. And they are, and it's been a lovely journey. So I'm building that. I'm buying 23 homes this week. I'm getting into industrial now because the sector's on fire, and I have partners that you work with that are very strong in industrial. We're buying 70,000 square feet this month. I have a pretty cool corporate model. The way I started, I get back my investors all their money, and then I split the upside. I figured long term. I'll think long term. You know, and after a couple of years, it ends up paying off because you refinance, you get them back their money, and then you have free cash flow for life. If you can manage the properties, you're going to have a good life, you know? So I've got $50 million in assets right now that I own, and another $28 million under contract that's closing in the next 2 months. I'm trying to hit $1 billion by the time I hit 30 years old, and it's a beautiful journey. I'm really happy about it. My parents are with me, and it's a good time. I got 14 full-time guys, 4 people on the content team, all in-house just for me and my stuff, which is very unique. You know, it's a $25,000 payroll a month.
And expensive.
Yeah, a month, and I'm investing in this, and it can't be measured. So go figure, putting $25K a month in social media without advertising. That's without ad spend, just for in-house content. But because of that, I think we have some of the strongest content in the real estate world, and it gives me a huge advantage. Actually, you would be shocked how many people try and get me to list their buildings and properties, and I just refer them out. That's not what I do, you know? But if I did that, I'd probably be one of like the leading listing agents in New York State. Anyway, if anybody has questions or anything, I think I got a couple minutes left.
Another thing I just want to say about Allon that really impressed me was we're all here networking and we're working together to grow business, and many hands make light work. And when Allon invited me to his house, I brought Allie with me. I walked in there and it was probably about 50 people, and all sharp people, young professionals. It was met his parents, great people. He's got a nice gym downstairs, avid lover of art,
Yeah.
right? And one guy was in the corner doing tattoos, so I had to make an appointment with him. But no, it was, Allon's got a great team of people around him, and it's good to know you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate
Great
that.
to be friends with you.
Unfortunately, you missed the last one. I had 140 people there.
Yeah, geez.
And I always bring cool stuff, like I have live artists, tattoo artists. Last time, I know this sounds a little crazy, but I brought a marijuana roller. So this guy, I spent like $5,000 on marijuana for the weed lovers out there, and he was just rolling blunts for people all night. And mind you guys, mind you guys, I don't even drink or smoke. So
That's an interesting draw.
yeah, I don't drink or smoke. It was purely just for people that like it.
I don't know. Chuck, just leave your membership. You know, there was a time when the cops would have been very interested in that.
So I've heard. And you know how many cops were there?
Yeah.
They were the ones smoking.
Or you'll have to bring a lot of food today.
You can drink for the after party.
I'm impressed you bought a 10-family house on TikTok.
Off TikTok, yeah.
I learned how to make Play-Doh on TikTok. But that is impressive, man.
Yeah, I got a nine family building in Patchogue off of Instagram marketing. Maybe,
That says a lot, though.
yeah. On Main Street, it's J&J Bait and Tackle. I just closed on the whole block. If you guys are familiar, I got that off of Instagram. Some guy saw me. His name is Tom. He called me right away. He said, "Hey, I got this from a wholesaler." The guy put it under contract for $860,000. He flipped me the contract for $1 million. I had to close on it 2 weeks, all cash, and then I refinanced 6 months later for 1.7. So I pulled out of that project net 400 grand to my pocket tax free. Yeah, in a couple months. And that property brings in 100 grand a year net after everything. So even just based on that one project alone, I could have covered my social media team for over a year.
Those platforms are very powerful.
Extremely. You'd be shocked. You'd be shocked. I mean, I got into the St. Louis market through meeting somebody on Instagram. A property manager in St. Louis told me, he introduced me to the market, introduced a project. I bought 4 homes just to test it out. He runs those 4 properties over there. He plugged in with all of our softwares back home. Now I'm buying another 10 this week. I've got another 51 under contract. So I'm going to have like 70 homes in St. Louis in the next 3-4 months just off of Instagram. Yeah, you know. Yeah. All right, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.